Everybody's here for ITP-460, right? I didn't get to the wrong room. Okay, good. So let's get started. Sorry, I can't get my second screen or computer to work, so I have to go back and forth today. Okay. So welcome. Today we're gonna talk about the course overview for ITP-460 web application projects. And congratulations for all of you staying in this class means that you're finalizing your web application minor, maybe, right? So this is the capstone class for web application. So for all of you who have access either for this lecture or go on to Brightspace, no more Blackboard, but Brightspace, go into class poll. We'll have you engage with me along the lecture via the class poll. Meanwhile, let me get access to that class poll as well. And let me know if you have any trouble getting to the class poll. And before I do that, as always, I will, if you can as well with me, mute all of your electronics devices so not interrupted. No, still. Okay. Start that. Okay. So let me start that. Two. And number one, cosplay for the day. Who number one? How's your holiday break? This is the first week of the class, right? So do you have any trouble getting to the whole everywhere? It's the link up there. And also you can find our lecture link on Brightspace. Another way to let me try to see if I can show you the actual link. We can also type it in as well. There we go. So it's poev.com/bowang486. Give me a hands up if you can actually see the questions right now. Okay, good. Awesome. So we'll give another 10 seconds for you to answer that question. Whether you had a good dinner, a good holiday break, or you're sad at home, tell me something about this holiday break. So go into the class poll and answer that. Okay, I want to see 5, 8 now. For a second. For those of you who don't see how to get access to it, go ahead and show the link again. Yeah, switching back and forth between the two computers is a little hard. This is go ahead and type in that URL if you haven't get a chance to get into it. Throughout the class, we're gonna use this. Plus, this is how we're gonna record our attendance for the day too. So we're not gonna have a quick any other attendance sheets besides using the class poll. All right. Okay, we got almost all of you working with you now. Just a couple more. Great. Majority of you enjoyed the times with friends and family. Some of you got lots of work done. That's awesome. Chill and relax is good too. All right, so let's go through the general information about our class. These are available on our syllabus as well. Okay, so our class are on Wednesdays, 5 to 8:50 p.m., which includes about 1.5 hours of lectures, 2 hours of the labs. And the location of our class is obviously TAP 167. Most of you get to the wrong place, get to the right place. And for those of you who might occasionally couldn't make it to the class, this class is also offered via Zoom as well. Okay, so one of you are joining us today on Zoom, but you miss out the most fun day of the entire semester. I'm just kidding. There will be more fun days coming up. Okay, so the format of our class are lecture and teamwork. Hola, teamwork, right? So we'll talk about the grades. You'll see why I say teamwork and I make a expansion, make it super important with the explanation mark. Sorry, I can't pronounce that words that well. Our course producers and graders are Jaguar. Raise your hand and thank you. We and also Diane on the back. So do remember these two lovely faces, right? They are the ones decides how your grades are, not me. Trust me on that. So remember their contact informations. You can always email them, message them, WhatsApp them, or call them. We'll talk about when, how, and how to get into contact with them in the right way in a bit. Okay. And trust them, they will save you for this class. Okay. So they're the go-to person, as well as I am too. So a little bit about me. First, my contact information, right? So my email, phone number, that's also my cell, my WhatsApp. Also my WeChat, I throw it up there as well, along with my LinkedIn. So I made a rule, all USC alumni who ask me on LinkedIn, I will accept them without a glitch, right? I will always accept them without rejecting them. A little bit about my background. I graduated a computer science major back in 2012. It's funny that when I prepared this class, for early years, I would say, hey, I'm not too far from you. I'm only graduated like a couple of years ahead of you, right? So I'm very close to you are. But now looking back at, it's been almost over a decade now, right? It's been a dozen of years already. So I'm much older now than earlier. But graduated with a CS degree. I can say that I'm a serial entrepreneur. I ran 4 companies. Currently a CEO of Your World. It's a fintech company. I'm also a fintech advisor board member for over 10 startups and banks. Invested over 30 plus companies, startups, bars, clubs, and hotels. As you can see, I'm a fun person, not just a boring investor or a lecturer myself, right? So I've been a part-time lecturer at USC since 2013. So as I mentioned, almost a dozen of years, and definitely over a decade. And also that's another company I'd like to mention is a former CEO of Nihao Pay. Actually brought a lot of Asian wallets globally, as for example, WeChat, Alipay, Line Pay, etc. For those of you who had a little bit background about know a little bit background about that, you probably know this company. And also a bunch of titles. That I wouldn't mention too much into it. Uh, a lot more too. So I started my first business while I was in this class, right? So it's literally I was a TA for ITP 300 at the time. And after 300, I decided to start a student club, which is web related student club. Then started a web development company while I was a junior in college. So very fun ride ever since. But that's why wanted to I want to stay engaged with USC and hope to pass on some of my fun spirits and the hardworking spirits. And for those of you who like to do uh, that work, even though now it's not super recommended, it's just too much work now. My office hours are Wednesday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Via Zoom by reservation, but also will be available in person via by reservation as well. Unless you make a reservation with me ahead, I wouldn't be able to see you. Just don't call me like 5 minutes before saying I'm here. I might not be here unless you tell me like at least a day ahead or something. Okay, so the way to contact me, the best way is actually to message me. Um, I'm always 2 hours within 2 hours of replying my messages. I can only guarantee 2 hours of replying. I'm not that like instant replying person. Emails, please allow 5 days of working, 5 working days, because I only check one times of my email per day, no more than that, unless there's some urgent things that I have to wait for. Uh, Unless you're emergency, don't call me. I usually don't pick up calls. Too many spams now. So, but I know I will mark your phone, text me, I will mark you. So I want to make sure that I can pick up your calls, but I'm always in meetings, so it's a bit hard. Uh, so unless you're in emergency, don't call me, text me. I'll reply that within 2 hours. I'll try my best. All right, that's a little bit of background about me. So let's get into the course goals. Give me 1 second. There might be another poll. Let me put it up. No, yes. Let's start with the poll number 2. Let me deactivate the first one. Activate the second one. Have you worked on web projects that launched with real users? Go back to the same link, you should see a new question. So have you worked on a web project that launched with real users? Cool. We got 14 now, so pretty good. Awesome. Actually, at least a third of you had some experience that launched a web project before. That's great to hear. So the goal of our class is to gain web development project working experience by creating real projects. And the specs, different aspects we're gonna do to do that, and then we're gonna use to do that is we're gonna use different tools to create this real website, and we're gonna be in different roles. that actually we're going to talk about it later a little bit today. That you either be a designer, developer, project manager, product owner, etc. We're going to try different roles, and we're trying real working process. Right, we're going to talk about that in the next lecture, the agile development process. And again, we're working in teams, and we're taking responsibility, and we're going to ship it. Right, this the goal is to ship something that actually people are going to use. And developing a real world web application project is fun. Trust me, it's really fun. The first ever web project that we built, actually, it was actually in a student club. We built, the student club was called S Combinator, aka Y Combinator, right? We copied the name. And the first ever web project that we created in that little club is to monitor the class website. Whichever has, you can sign up for alerts for each of the classes, and you get an email and a text notification if there's a spot opening for that particular class, right? So and as you probably can think, we three of us was the core people. Three of us was always the ones that getting those notifications the first, and we're always getting the class that we wanted it. Whenever whoever drops, right? So it was a fun experience. Um, Exciting. Obviously, if you build something that people like, they will pay for it. You would definitely make money off of it, right? But also, besides the good fun part, there's always chaotics. There's always stressful and lustful work, and also putting out fires as well. So there's not always the good part, but also the bad part, good and bad together. And you'll make something real, right? This is how the real works, real world runs. And it will hope to get you through this process and better prepare you for your career moving along. This is a capstone class. A lot of you, some of you are senior in a senior year and going to probably already had a job offer. And we hope to give you a little bit extra about what you're going to see, what you're going to do in the future. And for those of you who hasn't, and we hope to give you something that you can talk about during the interview process, right? So to help you a little bit. And one time I still remember throughout these years, I forgot which year exactly that was. There was a PhD student sign up for a class, and the number one question that I asked her separately, obviously privately, was why would you take this class? This is an undergrad class. And she said, oh, this class is known for helping to get better jobs. I said, oh, thank you. That's a good compliment to my class. That's a good comments to my class. So hopefully we'll help you a little bit more on this as well. Okay, moving to the next one. Sorry, I had to scroll through different pages, missing one screen. Okay, so along with building the projects together, we also have guest lectures from the industry experts. In the past years, I'm very proud that I can find these guys to come over to help me. And for some of you probably very familiar with these faces are all from ITP, but not only them, but also others that can join us as well from the industry, right? So from NFL, from Verizon, from different companies, right? So from TikTok, all these companies come in, really tell us what are they doing, what are the professional work they're doing in their industry, and better yet, what are they looking for from us that going to step into this industry? What are they hoping you to know more? before you can join them as part of that, right? So guest lectures is a good part of it. I would try my best to find more. It was really hard during the COVID to actually find anyone. But now we're gradually resuming post-COVID. And besides the guest lectures, this is one way to get in touch with some of them. I tend to host at least once for industry lunch where I can grab a group of experts like them to come in and just sit in and chat with us over lunch, right? Sorry, dinner, because of our class time. So then you get some personal connections. You try to build some personal connections with them. You get some personal touch with them, ask them good questions, and always good to grab them as a good mentor for you moving along in the future. Okay. Any questions so far? Sounds fun, right? I hope. Here's our class. This is version 4.3. So previously, before 2015, everybody know probably ITP has been around for almost 30 years, right? So and this class wasn't offered until late 2000s. And I took over, immediately I took over for the last decade. And before 2015, it was a version 1. And 2017, we upgraded a little bit with the we tried to collaborate capstone class together with another major. That was actually not so easy because we had to join two classes together trying to find different things going on. And then I upgraded with a lot of industry experts. Now we're at version 4.0, right? So this is 4.3 actually. We'll try to make this, we try different projects throughout different semesters. Sometimes we bring clients, sometimes we do engineering challenges, right? We, as a tech class, we constantly updating and adding new things. I like a math class that's the same equation principle all the time. I wish I'm a math class professor or a lecturer, right? Where I can just teach the same thing every year. But unfortunately, I constantly update this class materials, and as well as I hope to get more feedbacks from all of you as well, right? So I hoped to provide you some fresh information from the industry, but I'm also hoping that you can provide me some feedbacks about what you wanted to learn. And better yet, there's a lot of multiple occasions, some of the ITP students or course producers, TAs, who went on and go to Facebook's one time. There was one time of someone from Facebook, and then the other time from Instagram came back. Used to be our students, right? So went on into the industry and came back and talked about product design and shared about how this class could help them, right, moving forward. So we hope that we can keep a good connection moving along. Besides, we all USC alumni, you all like ITP-460 alumni. So do help each other a little bit, maybe refer internally a bit as well, right? So let's just constantly update this. All right, let's go back and talk about more for syllabus. So syllabus, we are going to use just this one single link syllabus, and for our class syllabus, and I will constantly update it because sometimes it's harder to arrange the industry experts time, right? So we have to move along some of the topics along with them, and stuff like that. So we need to change some of the contents and topics accordingly a little bit. So I'll keep updating these via that one link. That link is also available on Brightspace. So do check that. Don't complain with me if the class topics switch a little bit. there's multiple ways for you to handle the lecture besides just online and offline hybrid mode, which I will talk about in a bit as well. So the class structure. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, 1.5 hours lecture. Um, we'll talk about a little bit of everything about web development, web project development, web application development. So usually we'll keep it within 1 hour. We'll go back for some. Used to be there was ITP 301 and also ITP 302. One talking about 300 and 301 and 302, which is front end development, back end development, and also user experience. Now I believe is all 303 together, right? So different students have different backgrounds, but as for this class purposes, we're gonna touch base on almost everything all over again, but just a little bit, right? We don't have time to go in depth for each of the topics, but we'll give a general overview of each of the different topics again. And so that we're gonna use each of the parts in our projects as well. So 1 hour of lecture and another 20-30 minutes for me to talk about some industry experience from what I see by running different teams, by being a CTO before, then being a CEO for 7-8 years now. And then we'll break into labs, but it's not so just labs, right? It's meant for each of the teams to work together. We'll based on the size of the class, we'll create about 3 teams that works together, right? So each of you will get into the group and work together along with the group, not just to talk for 5 minutes and get away from it, right? So we're saving that a majority of the time for you to work together. And 5 days per week, we have something to do. Don't get scared. It's not that much, but we do have 2 video in-person scrum throughout the semester per week, and also 3 Slack scrum. That Slack scrum is quick updates for what you did for your projects per day, right? And 2 video in-person scrum. One is included after the class. The other one is each of the team pick one time and kind of go over what's going on, how's the project doing, more like a 15 minutes, 20 minutes scrum. That's it, right? Daily Slack scrum takes probably 5 minutes per person to do that, and is to be able to collaborate within teams so that either you have a question about the project you're doing, your parts, you can ask your team about it, or you can answer their questions so that all the projects are moving along okay. All right. So are the 3 different things that I throw in. It's actually a lot of extra work for us, me and the cross producers, but it's for the benefit of you. Pre-class assessment. So because as I mentioned, each of you might have a different background, and we have to talk about each of the different topics. There's an option for you to do a pre-class assessment for you to get the lecture credit, not for the teamwork credit, but for lecture credit. As long as you get more than 70% of the pre-class assessment, 70% of the pre-class assessment problem or questions correct, then you can get your lecture credit for the day. Okay, so this is for you to not for you to skip the lecture. I'm sure it will be more fun hearing me talking, right? So, but you do have that chance for the topics that you already know. All right, so, and also you can attend like live lectures here or via Zoom. by answering the class poll, you'll get your class credit. But don't worry about the class poll. As long as you're here, you're answering the class poll. Guess what? You can answer, you can be wrong on all of the questions, but you'll still get your class attendance credit. Okay. But for the only for the pre-class assessment, you'll be graded if you're not here, right? And class recordings will be available as well. Not for usually the class recordings will be available for the next class before the class starts. For example, for lecture 2, we should be able to make the previous class recordings available to you no later than Friday this week. Feel free to review that video and do your pre-class assessment. And once the lecture is done, for example, for next week, for next week's video will be available by this Friday. And the video will be replaced once the lecture is done, right? For today's lecture recording, it will be available later as well, right? So the previous semester recording will be available for you to preview it. And once the real lecture is done, the new video will replace the old video in about 10 days or so, depending on the editing speed from our course producer. So these are additional resources for you to be more successful in this class. And still a lot of work. All right, midterm exam. Date, October 16th, class time, same location. 60% of your grade. So watch out. No, I'm just kidding. There's no midterm, there's no midterm exam. There's only presentation and no exams. Assignments in the individual and group and grading. So assignment due date. Usually all the assignments are due the night before the class, right? So Tuesdays by 11:59. With some exceptions. For example, today's first assignment is student background questionnaire. We'd like to know more about you before we assign you into groups. That's actually due this Friday or Saturday, not next Tuesday. So I can actually group you into groups. So late assignments, 10% penalty per day. And after 4 days, I'm not gonna accept more. Okay, so, but you do need to tell me that you're gonna turn it in late. Otherwise, we think we just treat it as you're not going to turn it in at all. Okay, so we need to be notified. Final projects and presentation. Same thing, there's no final exam. The final project due date is by end of November, right after Thanksgiving. And final presentation date is actually the last day of the class. It's not the final exam week. Okay, so you'll be done with us before the study week. So save all your time for all the other hard works because we don't even have an exam, right? So but we'll finish our final projects and final presentation by December 3rd. Okay. And trust me, this is how you're gonna think once you're working in the group. So you better stay together to make it work. Okay. Okay. All right. So sorry, mistake. I should have replaced it with a right Brightspace picture. This is the old Blackboard picture. But let me show you the actual Brightspace. Let me share the desktop too. Learner. Okay, so this is the Brightspace we're going to use for our class. It should be available to you already. Who can't see it just yet? No? Okay. So announcement section is important, right? So whichever there's an important announcement, I'm going to send it out using the Brightspace. And also I'll try to do that via email as well. There is an actual function similar to Blackboard, just more complicated to use to send out a general announcement there. And this calendar, we'll try to keep everything on this calendar and also assignments, work to do in the calendar there that showing the classes, the due dates of assignments, everything should be all here, right? And the content, I try to group everything in a weekly manner. This is week one. Within the week one, we'll show you everything that you need for this week, right? So some of the weeks we don't have additional assignments, so that we won't put it there. So you don't have to juggle through what I'm going to do, what do I need, right? So each of the week module usually contain with a class Zoom link. Is actually never changes. Oh, it's always the same link, but we always put it there for each of the weeks. And the lecture slides link, so you can get into the lecture slides. And a class poll, that link doesn't change either, actually. But it's actually useful. And then you don't see the assignments just yet because it should be available now. Why is it not? 5:30, isn't it? 5:30, over 5:30 already? It's 5:42. Okay, so I'll double check. I'm still learning this Brightspace thing because this is the first time I'm teaching with the Brightspace. But see that starts on August 28th, which is today, 5:30. Now it's 5:42, right? But those assignment links will be there. A lot of assignments are actually not a direct submission, not a digital copy on Brightspace, but you need to also submit something, right? For example, the student background questionnaire, that's actually a Google form that you need to fill out. Once you fill out the form, before the due date, you need to just type in finished, submit. So once you did that, we know that you submitted it, and it will grade you based on that, the time of submission, right? So because pre-submission, some of the work can be edited, especially projects, right? So you're constantly working on it, but by the time you said I'm done, then we'll start grade you on the work that you submit your grades. Okay, so this is a Brightspace, and besides that, we also always have a syllabus link on the top, and the class roster, we do not have anything yet, but once we have all of you into different groups, we'll post your information into groups and show you pictures as well, so you know who's not doing work, right? So you know who's in your group, and also maybe the contact information as well. And the resources section, more information will be available in the future. So for example, some of the digital books that we're gonna use, we will make it available here. And some of the previous tips, classes, recordings, not class, sorry, example recordings, etc., will be made available here as well. So do go to the resource link as well. I'm still thinking whether we should add a forum section so that for all of you can chat together. Since we're using some tools for communication this year, I'm debating whether we should use that or not. It wasn't so popular before. But I'm open to some suggestions. Obviously, you can see all the grades in there. Once the grades are posted, we try to make an announcement that the grades is available. And usually the grades should be available no later than 2 weeks, right? Possibly 1 week, but no later than 2 weeks after the assignment are submitted. Okay, so that's Brightspace. Any questions so far? Okay, good. So the fun part, you all haven't talked so much. So I'd like to do a ice breaking session is to introduce about yourself. How, name, year, major, what do you want to do after graduate? Just one line. Don't give us a lecture, please. And what project experience have you done anything? Right? So just class or you've done some projects, one liner, right? So and then fun fact about yourself. Okay, anything that you did fun, anything that you think is fun for everybody to know about you. Okay, so let's start. Volunteers, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ben. I'm a senior. I study cognitive science. I want to do product design after I graduate. Uh, I have web design experience. I worked in an internship this summer as a web designer. And a fun fact about me is that ASL is my first language.
Wait, sit in one of them.
ASL is my first language.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. What company do you work for?
AHF, the AIDS Healthcare Foundation in Hollywood.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Great start. Anybody else? Volunteers? Okay, we'll start. Go ahead.
Shannon, also a senior majoring in cognitive science. I also hope to get into product design after graduation. Web project experience, I did web design for my friend's startup. And fun fact, I'm allergic to fruits,
All fruits.
but not like deadly. A little bit.
Okay, I'll make sure I do bring snacks a lot to the class, so I'll make sure that don't make her touch the fruit. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jane. By the way, I'm really bad at names, right? But I will make sure that before the end of the semester, if you stay in this class, I will make sure I will remember all of your names. Okay. That's just my thing. I'm very bad at names, but I will learn. Okay, anybody else volunteer? Otherwise, we'll start with this side. Sure, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Nina. I'm a senior in journalism, still kind of figuring out what I want to do. My web project experience would just be like from this minor. I haven't really done much outside of that except for like for fun. And then a fun fact would be I'm part of USC Dragon Boat.
Oh, Dragon Ball. Interesting. Do you guys have a Dragon Ball?
We do, yeah, we compete.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Well, as a Chinese, I didn't even know about that. Okay, good to know. Awesome. Thank you. Nina, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And from the back, yeah.
I want to do some really fun backend technology after I graduate. The only web project I have experience in is through my ITP minor. and creating my portfolio. And fun fact is I went to Japan over the summer.
Oh, me too, twice. So, all right. Awesome. Thank you. And
Geodesign. After graduation, I want to go into like the transportation planning field. Web project experience is just a minor. And a fun fact is I have an older sister, who's 9 years older, but we were born on the same day.
oh, that's cool. Hmm. Who gets to celebrate the birthday more on the same day? That's cool. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
My name's Nick. I'm a fourth year, but I have to do 5 years, so junior, senior, CS and game development major, pursuing a SWE post grad. Project experience, I've done a few SWE internships and did the like startup orgs on campus. And fun fact is, I have a cat.
Mm. That's awesome. Sorry, you explain to me what a suite is.
Software engineer.
Oh, okay, software. Okay, all right. So, go ahead.
And I'm majoring in psychology and I want to become a therapist after I graduate. So I have to go to master's for that. And the only experience I really have is my ITP minor. But a fun fact about me is I just came back from Australia right at the last semester.
So you did study abroad? That's awesome. So go ahead. Mhm.
Senior studying industrial systems engineering. I want to be a product designer after I graduate, and my web project experience includes like work that I've done for other organizations on campus, and then also on my internship, I designed for a lot of applications. And a fun fact about me is I really like going to coffee shops around LA, like really picky about them, so I actually have like a whole like spreadsheet where I have like my
Can I pay for that sheets too? That's awesome. Yeah, me too. I'm a coffee holic. I actually just landed the US from Asia this morning. So right now I haven't slept for like 18 hours. So coffee is my thing. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm a senior and I study, I'm a student at the ITP-460 Academy. Oh, I want to do design strategy once I'm done with school. And for experience, I was a UX intern the past 2 summers, and I also do some freelance. And a fun fact is that I work at a coffee shop in China.
Oh, cool. Then you guys have, do you guys know each other before? No, now more topics to talk about. Well, like you gotta make a review on that, right? So soon.
It's on my list. I like it, but I haven't had the opportunity to go there very much. So I think I need to try it again.
Okay, yeah, we should go back.
All right. Maybe we should do the next, like we should do like a coffee tasting one day, huh? All right, go ahead.
Thanks, Bryce. I'm also a senior, studying CECS. What I want to do after I graduate, either something in suite or something in hardware. What project experience, stuff from clubs, internships, and then fun facts. I'm very competitive at Tetris.
Tetris,
Tetris.
the game Tetris?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That I wouldn't imagine. Okay. Is that because that you were using that two fingers? All right, I'm just joking. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm also senior. I study design. Probably after graduate, I'll do brand design or product design. Previous web project experience, I was just like, there's something like web design and club. A fun fact about me is that I was born and raised in Shanghai, but then I lived in like 3 different time zones in the United States.
Oh, interesting. Too many time zones in the States. All right, go ahead.
It's Ashley. I'm a senior studying econ data science. After I graduate, I probably would want to do like data. My web project experience would be in
classes, internships, and I'm in a startup right now.
Mhm.
And a fun fact about me is I helped raise and foster a service. A veteran nurse,
Raising and fostering.
like a service dog for a veteran nurse.
Oh, cool. So kind. All right, Diane.
My name is Diane. I guess I'm a senior here from Celestial, and my major is computer science, and I want to be a software engineer when I graduate. My web project experience is probably was from internships, and my fun fact is that I usually just go back and forth between Korea here and
Filipino?
no, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, okay. Oh, that's closer. All right, awesome. Go ahead.
Christine, I'm also a senior, majoring in cognitive science, web project. Oh, what do I want to do? Probably UX design, eventually UI as well. Experience would be through a couple of internships and then working with different companies. Fun fact, my first car was a stick shift.
Oh, me too. So, all right, decided not never get a stage shift again. You just kidding. Yeah, me too. But yes, thank you. Go ahead, Ja.
Hi everyone, my name is Ja. My Chinese name is Shuangjia, but some of my foreign teachers thought it was too difficult to pronounce it, so I just changed it to Ja. And I'm also a senior, but in computer science major as a professor. I'm considering applying for the master degree after I graduate the undergrad. So because I haven't decided yet, like what to do after graduation. And for the web project experience, mostly is from the ITP electives, 303 and 380. And one is from one of my internships back in Beijing. The company is called Beike. It's house rental agent thing that you create a website for them to, yeah, kind of.
It's more like the Zillow of the US.
Okay, yeah, and fun fact about me is, after I tried the internship in Beike, I actually tried to be a product manager this year in another Beijing company called Shengshu. It is a AIGC company, and you should really try it. It's like a competitor to OpenAI. Sora is a video generator. Yeah, and the website is called Video.studio. It provides you like 80 chance every month generation.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah, my name is Tony. I'm a senior studying journalism. I want to go into like news production after graduation. My project experience, mostly classes, yeah, in ITP program. And fun fact, I hiked Machu Picchu in Peru.
That's cool. That's one of my goals too, to hack that. Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. And I do see a couple of you are from cognitive science major, right? Is that more? And some of you wanted to do UI UX design after. Is that more of a route now from cognitive science to UI UX, which is the right way, right? So by the time a decade ago, nobody cares about this. Nobody realized there was actually direct linking between the product designs and the cognitive science. But now, even back into the college, everybody knows about that. So awesome. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, learn some of your names and we'll learn more, and we'll learn together. So, okay, this is pretty much how it is for the entire. I think there's one class that got one slide got skipped. Yeah, after adding this picture, it's there's a little problem there. Let's take it out. Okay, so here's your grades, right? So individual assignments takes up about 10% of your grade, and then group assignments, which is weekly, group assignments and weekly sprints make up about 30% of the grade. And lecture attendance makes up about 20, and group meetings, right? So milestones are 20%, individual contribution is 20%. And to summarize, all the group related things make up about 90% of your grades, right? So only 10% is if you're not doing things by yourself, you can still get an A in this class, right? So I'm just saying this is how important a group project is. But for those of you who might want to complain your teammates that's not doing work, here's your chance. Right, individual contribution is strictly based on peer evals at the end of the semester, right? So, and it's very common. For example, click into this link if you have a chance. Accenture is being sued for 32 million for doing web projects for Hertz, right? They're not doing it well enough. That's why they're not getting paid and also getting sued for 32 millions. And actually, one of my friends is in charge with that project. He knew it's gonna fail after 2 months of starting it. And he was complaining to me about that. And so the reason that the entire group project is so important is you don't get anything out of it if you're not doing, if the project doesn't get finished, right? People can get fired, your teammate might be gone, but if the project doesn't get done well, you get into trouble, right? This is why the project-based teamwork is very important. So a lot of the cases for you, once you're into the group, you find out, why am I doing about 60-70% of the work? There's a chance for you to revenge them, but finishing the entire group project is super important. Okay, so this is how much different it is, right? So done in almost any other class, if you do well yourself, you'll get a good grade. This is strictly based on a group project, which is different, right? So, yep, you can still get an A with this, but you can make people a C by doing that, right? So that's just your leverage. Okay, just give you an idea. And obviously, throughout the semester, based on different lectures, I might give some extra credit opportunities for you to do a little bit more things. We'll talk about that as we go. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the entire class structure introduction. Any questions about these? Anybody scared? Okay, not that scary. Okay, trust me, it's more fun. Okay, so let's touch upon the class topic a little bit. What's our time? Yeah, we're good on time. So let's touch upon our class topic a little bit. Let's start with another poll for this topic. I'm activating the other one. So you see the class poll or no? Yes, you do. Yes. Oh, it doesn't? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me fix that. Let me see if I can change it right away. Yeah, this time because the USC hasn't put me on the shared license yet, so let me see. They're giving me some troubles there. Let me deactivate it first. Hold on one sec. It's yeah. You know what, we might be just skipping that questions for now because it doesn't, it's a single choice, multiple choice, single selection, multiple choice, right? It's not a multiple ones. Okay, well, I'll fix that later and see what's going on. Here's my tool page. And I can't see the outlines because of the screen problem here. It's so okay, there we go. Okay, so let's start with another poll first. Oh, I will start with the question then. So who had some experience with the web application before? Web application. And obviously the difference between a website and a web application is super obvious, right? So a website is where a content is being published, right? There's no interactions, there's no functionalities, right? So besides the web application examples I provided, anybody can give me another example of a good web application that you always use? Any? Go ahead. Amazon? You don't use the Amazon app or the Amazon? That's great. Awesome. Thank you. That's a good question. So, but that's a good answer. Sorry. So Amazon is very, very typical web application, right? Even when they started, about 20 years ago, the Amazon website, so-called website, was already a web application. It was super simple. It was more like a Craigslist website, right? Back then, but it was already a web application because web application usually has functionalities and interactions back and forth versus just a publishing of content, right? So, this is an old example of a USC website. Now USC website is more of an application now than just a website, informative website. Okay, so and it's interesting throughout the time period when I first learned about web application, web design, web development, there wasn't so many apps until the iPhone came out, right? So, and then for a period of time, I was scared myself. It's like, okay, now everybody's using apps. What about websites? Are websites still going to be a big trend in the future, or am I learning something that's going to be surpassed and be fading away, right? But after these years, it's more and more common that everything usually start with the web application, right? So nobody's going to build a full stack web app that's only going to work for Apple or just or Android. Besides, people will start creating a web application and then to build a good product around it. If needed, a lot of web applications are light enough to keep it on a web browser, right? So if needed, then they will build a separate app to it. And phones are more overloaded by the app than the websites. So web browser is still very useful at this moment. Just need to make it responsive, right? So that's the case. All right, so we are building a web application in this class. So if you come up with a project for us, for your group, and eventually you're building a website not without a functionality, without a application capability, then that's not a qualified project we're going to do for this class. Okay, so these are the tools we're going to use. I was going to ask you what kind of experience you have for some of these are just the example of tools we're going to use for this class. And I was going to have you do the poll to show me how many of you have used which one of them, right? So who can tell me which one that you doesn't look familiar to you? Give me one example that I don't know what it is. Go ahead, Nina.
MERN or MERN.
Yeah, this is actually a stack, so-called a stack where it has
I don't even.
No, who knows the, go ahead.
MongoDB, ExpressJS, React, then Node.js.
Exactly. So it's basically a full stack. MongoDB is the database software, right? And then Express, what's the
Express.
Express is the front end library, right? Correct. React and Node.js is the backend technology, right? This is the technology stack, but it's not required for this stack to be used in this class. A lot of times people got confused a lot by using Node.js. Are we still teaching PHP in ITP 303? Yeah, you can still use PHP, which is the easiest way to do it, right? So in this class, we're focusing on delivering applications. We're not focusing on learning new technologies, right? So, but we do talk about each part of it. Any other questions? Sorry, go ahead. Nick, right?
No.
Envision, oh, sorry, Ben, sorry, Ben. Ben, so Envision, anybody knows about Envision? Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Figma is more of an online version of a Photoshop and Sketch plus a Envision. Envision is just, yeah. I think Envision was sold or bankrupted last year or this year. It was one of the first software that's made really well, made everybody think about doing a rapid prototyping in the design tool. But later on, it's always not just about the product, but also about the marketing, right? So, yeah, good question. Any other ones? Anybody can recommend something different then, but similar to one of them, but different, not on the screen. Go ahead.
Laying it out in a board format. I prefer using Notion because I use it for like other like purposes as well, like in like my daily life, but there's like a lot of different ways to like kind of create tasks and like assign them to people, and it's also great for education. So like that's something that.
Thank you. Yeah, Notion is great, right? So and Notion is as you mentioned, is way beyond. It started with the note-taking tool, but it went way beyond that, right? Basically, you can organize your entire life on there. So, it's a great software. Any other? Yeah. So these softwares can group into different categories, right? So we all know like Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, Box. Actually, founder of Box are USC alumni. One of the earliest cloud-based drives, right? So it became a full suite. Obviously, Google Drive now is called Google Workspace, started from Google Drive. And Slack is more for a communication tool. Everybody knows about that, yeah. Slack, HipChat, are similar to that. GitHub. Anybody knows about GitHub and talks a little bit about that? Ben, go ahead.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've pushed anything to GitHub. But when I was doing like the early ITP classes, I think all of them use GitHub as like.
Oh, really? Like ITP now makes everyone uses GitHub a little bit. Awesome. Because one of the most confusing class for this class is actually making everyone to use GitHub and making everyone to use it right. So good thing that everybody get to know it a little bit now, right? And Bitbucket. When I was in software engineering, we were using Subversion SVN, and it was the old style too. But now almost all the file management tool has some ways of controlling versions, right? So it's all same idea, is to keep different versions of files. Obviously, AWS is a cloud system. We'll talk about for each of the topic of the class, we'll talk specifically about how to use some of the tools as well. Okay, so these are the tools that we're going to use. in team roles, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we in the industry, there are roles that you're taking, and a lot of you have mentioned about some roles you wanted to do in the future after you graduate, UI, UX designs, software engineerings, right, etc. Here are the roles, right? So there's just some example of the roles: project manager, user interface, UI designer, UX designer, database architect, infrastructure engineer, front-end engineer, back-end engineer, QA tester, system mission engineer, and more. Actually, there are more, there are a lot more roles created now than it was about 15, 20 years ago, because things are getting more and more advanced, right? So there are, before, give you an example, before there were engineers, right? There were software engineers that does, C coding, also code the website front end and back end, including the data. They also design the database structures. Now, especially in the large companies, these are very specific roles because they know some very deep knowledges about how to handle different sizes of different applications. But being good benefits in learning within the startups is you're forced. Sometimes you probably not involuntarily to throw into different roles at the same time because you want to make it to work, right? So good and bad, right? It's good is once you know a little bit about everything, and then go into one segment very deep, then you know how to communicate with your peers really well, right? Otherwise, it's harder for you to communicate with others because you don't know what they're doing, right? So as far as for our purposes in this class, we're limited into this 5 different roles: project manager, UI UX product designer. Well, sorry, actually I will break it into 2 maybe, and front end developer, back end developer, and QA tester, right? So these are the roles that we'll be trying, and we'll be rotating a little bit as well in the team. Okay, so come back to another poll. Which role sounds the most confusing to you? Okay, so the top 2 winning role that's most confusing to everyone is system administration engineer, system admin engineer. Anybody volunteer to tell the other what that system admin means? Okay, system administration engineer is the one that actually maintains the entire system, right? For example, they'll set up the server, starting by setting up the server, building up the database software, and maintaining all the code into the cloud and make sure it works. And then it will connect to the actual website. And so that when you type www.usc.edu, you can actually point to the right server and get to the right database, load the right file and the right code, and show you the right content, right? That's overall the one that might not ever write any code. Starting with, like, if you were asking me about this about 15 years ago, system administration engineer, they're not real engineers. They're just there to make sure these products are configured correctly together. But now system administration engineer is very advanced with automatic launching, rolling out across different sites and make sure especially the larger scale of a web application, for example, TikTok, or especially TikTok or Instagram, right? Where they will make sure each of the region have a fast load speed and how to load the content the fast way. And what about upgrading all the different versions of the videos and etc. to each of the users? And these are very hardcore system administration engineer work, right? So it used to be like, I don't want to be a system administrator because it's not a real job. Now it's like, okay, system administration engineer might earn about 50% to 70% more than a regular software engineer. That's the change. It happened. Okay, the second one is infrastructure engineer. Sometimes infrastructure engineer also get replaced or were referred to as a system architect, which is a very advanced position that, again, coming back to this TikTok example, right? So billions of people are watching like billions of videos on the same little app platform. How to make sure that the right content is delivered to the right people at the right time. How the database are structured, right? The system administration engineer make sure this works, but the infrastructure engineer or system architect designs how it works, right? One designs how everything are connecting together. The system administration engineer make sure this it will be implemented. This system structure is being implemented. Okay, it's very well. Usually, infrastructure engineer or system architect, like my company, I wouldn't trust anyone who has less than 15 years of experience in my industry. Not just speaking of a web application, we're talking about, different areas. Mine is fintech, right? So we run through hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in our system. And with the design glitch, I can lose hundreds of thousands or a million easily with just a small glitch. So I wouldn't trust them. Or if someone is staying there, think about swapping your card and waiting for like a minute for it to be processed, just not acceptable, right? So at a different scenario, it requires different technology. Yeah, okay. So that's the infrastructure engineer. Sometimes system architect will take it all. Infrastructure, sometimes at some specific areas, infrastructure will only talk about how this database servers are being designed, right? So okay. Any other questions? All right, so here's a agile software development strategy, or we'll talk about this again next week. But I'd like to get you into this kind of a mindset, right? So just kind of a quick survey that have we done anything in the previous ITP classes now in running a weekly Scrum or weekly development cycle? Okay, good. So since we haven't really learned about that, I will give a more brief introduction, or like more detailed instruction on this. We'll have next week we'll learn about this process in more details, but at a core, we're doing a short cycle of design and analysis, detailed requirements, design analysis, implementation, development, testing, QA, and go deployment, right? Meaning that we'll build this product. In our class, I think we would, if not anything different, we'll still keep it a weekly sprint. Means that every week we'll build and launch a product, different version of a product. Right? Every week we'll go and talk to the customer. We'll go through this entire process, design, analysis, implement, and test it and launch it. Right, so this is a cycle. Versus this is the agile development process, means that we constantly going through this cycle and upgrade a little bit of our product every time, right? So even though we break it, we might at the beginning we only have a front end, we don't have a back end. It is still going through this product requirements, design, implementation, and testing and launching, right? So it doesn't have to be especially initially, it doesn't have to be a full functional product. But as much as we know about what the user wants, we'll do it and we'll test it. If it's not something that they like, we'll take it back. We'll change it, right? So versus a waterfall technology methodology, next week we'll compare the difference. All right, just to give you an idea, this is what we're going to do. That's why we have 5 things that do every week. 3 scrums, 2 3 tech scrums, and 2 video scrums or in-person scrums. Just to kind of getting things rolling, right? A little bit, by a little bit. Okay, there's 2 assignments for this week. Student background questionnaire, basically we have a Google form, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. You fill out about yourself, what's your background. You estimate about your background, so we know how to group you. And the second one is a software setup. Software setup will put you into Slack groups once we form the group. We'll also put you into Trello to keep the weekly task updates and scrums. And we'll add you to the group folder where all of you will keep all the files in there for easy grading, for easy exchange purposes, also for easy grading purposes. All right, so we'll split everyone into 3 teams. A good size is anywhere between 4 to 8 for team size, right? So since we have about 16 of you, so we'll group you into 5 or 6 people team. And then we're gonna go through, we're gonna talk about the projects next week. And there's choice that you can choose the projects or you can choose the engineering problem once you know a team decides together. And then we'll meet with the clients. You pick your own clients if you choose the engineering challenge, or you meet with the real clients. But sometimes real clients is a little hard to manage. And I'm trying to find out if I can throw in 2 little projects so I can be the client, so I can guarantee that the time to meet with you, right? So in the past semesters, one of the frustration is the clients doesn't know what they want, and the clients doesn't show up on time to meet with everyone. So we try to limit it. Well, even though it is how it is in the real world, you try to call them and find them all the time. But in our class purposes, we're focused on building the product rather than chasing them down, right? So that's something we'll know by next week. So design the product, develop the product, and launch it. All right, that's it. So any questions before we wrap up for today? Sounds good, bad, scared, excited? All right, the last poll of the day is, what did you learn new in this class today? Maybe nothing just yet, huh? And at what topic you wish to know more? And there's no labs for today, so feel free to step out once you're finished this poll for today. Thank you very much. I will see you all next Wednesday. I'll send out an announcement just to test out the Brightspace, so everybody was receive some notifications for via email or on Brightspace. And by the time week 2 material, as mentioned, is available, right? So the week 2 lecture slides, week 2 pre-class assessments, and the week 2 old lecture recordings. Once they're available, I will send out an announcement on Brightspace. All right, awesome. Thank you.